The original Beetlejuice movie is perfect as far as I'm concerned. It is a simple, straightforward story with interesting lore and world building, and it is a great blend of horror and comedy. The film is a unique work of art told from visionary director Tim Burton, who had a passionate, distinct creative vision, accompanied with a fantastic score from Danny Elfman and charming visual effects, alongside an amazing performance from Michael Keaton. Due to its popularity, a sequel was inevitable. 2 scripts were commissioned in 1990, but this fell through. Development stalled around 1997, and the project came back into fruition in 2011, and updated reports in its development happened over the next several years. But the film got cancelled in April 2019. The project was re-announced in February 2022, and this time, the film actually got made. And the film that they made, well, my thoughts on it are complicated. You see, on the one hand, this is a very enjoyable film that is in many ways what I would want a Beetlejuice sequel to be. But on the other hand, this is a severely overplotted film, filled with numerous script issues. This leads me to say that Beetlejuice Beetlejuice is an enjoyable mess. Let me explain. Hi all, I'm the Grinning Critic and I love talking about movies with a grin. And it makes me happy today that I can talk about the Beetlejuice sequel, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, with a grin on my face, as I absolutely love that original film. But on the other hand, I wish I could talk about this movie with a bigger grin on my face, as this movie is a slight disappointment. But as I am the Grinning Critic, I think I should talk about what I liked about this movie first. Now when it comes to legacy sequels, there is one thing that really bothers me, and that is that so many of them are just complete rehashes of the original, or are filled with ridiculous amounts of nostalgia and fan service. Now there's a way to do that right, and I believe that Force Awakens did that really well, but more often than not, this idea doesn't work at all. And I'm very glad that Tim Burton chose not to take the standard approach. I read that he didn't even watch the first film before making this film, and so Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, while making some references to the original, is quite different, while still maintaining the charm of the original. This is what I wish more legacy sequels were like. At one point, Tim Burton said he wasn't going to be directing this film, but I'm so glad that he's changed his mind. It's pretty clear to me that over the past few years, Tim Burton has been lost in his creations, making generic run-of-the-mill live-action content that fails to embrace any of what he is truly passionate about. The weird outcasts, those who don't conform to society, and of course, making movies with weird gothic vibes. And through choosing to come back to the world of Beetlejuice, which utilises all of Tim Burton's strengths, Tim Burton delivers by making an incredibly well-directed film, embracing the universe's weird elements.
And, you get kind of lost in the big Hollywood structure, and so for me, it was kind of going back into making stuff the way I like doing it.
From a production standpoint, this movie is flawless. The set designs are incredible, drawing the viewer into this unique world that Tim Burton has laid out. The character designs are crafty and inventive, which add to the picture's easily investive layout. The costume designs are spectacular, the makeup in this film is just outstanding, and it is devastating to me to see that this film was snubbed off an Oscar nomination for Best Makeup. But I have particular admiration for the team for how they crafted the visual effects in this film. This movie makes large usage of practical effects, in particular for the sandworms, which were created using stop motion, just like how they were in the original. And by doing this adds a sense of realism to the sandworms and make them feel more convincing. Danny Elfman's musical score is fantastic, and he gets a great chance to shine in this sequel, through some really cool but unexpected and kind of out of place musical sequences. As for the performances, I thought they were brilliant. Michael Keaton is once again a show stealer in his role, Beetlejuice. His charisma and unique voice add to the character's brilliance. Willem Dafoe is excellent in his scenes, Winona Ryder was fantastic as Lydia Deetz, and Jenna Ortega was great as Astrid. Now let's talk about where the movie really falls apart. Its plot. So this film starts off, and we learn that Lydia Deetz is on a show talking about ghosts, but she gets stressed out very easily, and this subplot isn't really touched on a whole bunch. We should have been told a little more as to what's going on. And while working on the show, she gets a call from her mother, who she meets up with, and learns that her father Charles has died. At Charles' funeral, a man who Lydia works with on the ghost show, Rory, proposes to her in the most awkward way possible, and arranges for a wedding to happen on Halloween. This subplot felt extremely unnecessary and so out of place for the movie, and I think that the movie would have been stronger had this subplot been removed. Jenna Ortega's character, Astrid, has a subplot that I really liked. Without getting into specifics, I thought that this was very interesting, and I'm glad that the film gave this subplot a lot of screen time. Meanwhile, Beetlejuice is being hunted down by a woman who he killed in his lifetime, and I found this plot point to be enjoyable, but poorly utilised, due to the lack of screen time this storyline gets. This is the reason why we get Willem Dafoe's character in the movie, and he is wasted talent. As I mentioned, Dafoe is scene-stealing in his role, but his role feels very unnecessary beyond providing a couple of laughs. Now, for the first 2 acts of this film, having all these subplots weren't really an issue for me, as all of them, beside that stupid marriage subplot, were presented in an interesting way that I cared about. It was only when the movie reached its 3rd act that this became an overbearing issue, as resolving all these subplots right around the same time makes the film feel extremely convoluted. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice is a good film. Michael Keaton is fantastic as the title character. This movie is very fun to watch, and its production values are astounding. But the film suffers from severe overplotting, and as someone who loves the original, this made for a disappointment. I'm gonna give Beetlejuice Beetlejuice a B. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm the Grinning Critic, and don't forget to subscribe to me. It'll keep me grinning, that's for sure.